Hello everybody, this is Purge bringing you guys the first person replay commentary. This is a Lifestealer game that I played earlier today. Start things off, since we are doing a replay commentary, let me take a look at the Dota buff stats of the hero. If we click on over to the scene. Alright, first things first, this is how much I played the hero. 52.9% win rate, I've got a 3.18 KDA, I've only played 17 games in Dota 2 of Lifestealer, at least in pubs. If we look at the hero as a whole, the hero has a fairly low win rate right now. It's about 45%. Typical items, things like Armlet, Power Treads, Skull Basher, Sanjanyasha, Phase Boots. A lot of Midas gets picked up. He's best versus Earth Spirit, Spectre, Zeus, Clock, and he is really bad against Templar Assassin and, of course, Troll Warlord. Troll Warlord, one of the most popular carries right now, so kind of puts him in a really bad spot. He's basically bad against heroes that have an abundance of physical damage, and he's good against heroes that have to cast spells to disable him. So pretty good against Ricky, or sorry, bad against Ricky because Ricky can prevent his rage from going. Slark doesn't care about his slows or anything like that, so Slark can easily run away, and Wind Ranger can dodge his attacks, and Ursa just bursts him down because he does a huge amount of physical damage. So all the heroes that do counter him do minus armor or a burst of physical or lockdown, or they have a way to escape, and that's one of the reasons that Lifestealer is actually not popular at all right now. So Lifestealer as a hero, I'm just going to talk a lot about his faults because frankly the hero is not good right now. There was a period of time, maybe a year or two ago, where Lifestealer was the top carry. He got a little overbuffed. His open wounds used to be like 500 or 600 range or something like that, so the cast range at level 1 was so high that you could very easily engage on your opponent and basically set up a chain disable. But it doesn't really cut it anymore, especially in long drawn out team fights. There's a lot of really good items that make people difficult to kill now, and they are things like Euls Scepter is really common. Ghost Scepters are common. Force Staffs are a bit less built than they were in the past, but Force Staffs obviously counter the hero really well. And the other item that's really common right now are Orchids. Orchids are very, very common. And the problem with Orchids is that they really hard counter Lifestealer, because if you silence Lifestealer before he casts his first skill, Rage, which is like a 6-second BKB at max level with attack speed, if you silence him, he can't cast Rage and then he will die very rapidly. It's kind of like Juggernaut. While he does have his own way to become magic immune, he gets countered very hard by silences, so that's one easy way to kill the hero. Orchids are really good. So those are his counters. Silences, and heroes that do a lot of burst physical damage. Some chain stun is pretty good, but in the past, the really nasty thing about Lifestealer was that he would open wounds you and he'd chase you down and kill you because he would have his own magic immunity. And that was really obnoxious for most people to deal with. So Lifestealer was really good there. He got nerfed and nerfed and nerfed. Not like stupidly nerfed, but it was also a mix of other things. When Lifestealer was really popular, I don't know if Batrider was in the game yet. Batrider got released at some point, and I think the time that Lifestealer was really strong, Batrider didn't exist. And the reason I keep saying Batrider is because Batrider's ultimate goes through magic immunity. So it's a really good way to lock down Lifestealers, to have a stun that goes through magic immunity. And people would counter him that way. This was an unranked game, by the way, so don't look too much into the gameplay in terms of a balance perspective, but I'll just talk a lot about why the hero is weak right now and why he's not very good. By the way, most of the heroes that I haven't done videos of are all heroes that kind of suck right now, so it's been painful. I played Terrorblade today and I played against Juggernaut and it just sucked. I didn't play the Lanian stage very well, but that's kind of the symptom of what Lifestealer as well as Terrorblade deal with. It's like there's just better carries. I mean, C9 does pick Terrorblade occasionally, but as a whole, there's a lot of carries that just aren't nearly as good as what Troll can do right now. Troll's pub win rate, by the way, is 55%. I checked before this game started. Lifestealer's at 45%, that's a huge difference. And the important thing is that basically they just... all those heroes do so much more than what a Lifestealer can do. The other thing that makes Lifestealer a lot worse now than before is that Blink Dagger's been buffed a lot. So because Blink Dagger got all buffed, that means that Lifestealer, even if he open wounds you with his silence, or his slow, sorry, they can just blink away as long as you don't do damage. And he doesn't have a ranged damage source. He actually has to hit you to guarantee that he's going to knock you down. So there's a lot of really good ways to run away from Lifestealer and to kite him. He's just not a strong hero right now, and there's so many better carries. He also gets countered by Juggernaut. If Juggernaut wants to kill a Lifestealer, he can just definitely do it. You can just Omni Slash the Lifestealer, and if you can't infest, use your ultimate to hide inside a creep, then you just die. And if there isn't really like a good item build that you want to build as Lifestealer either. While he is a strength carry, he's more of he has moderately high HP and really good survivability is kind of the way the hero works, but his armor is pretty low. So if you get Omni Slash, it's really rough. You can get killed pretty easily by an Omni Slash. And other heroes that counter him are, again, single target, DPS, physical damage heroes. So Troll Warlord perfectly counts for that. Even Juggernaut is decent in that scenario as well. Obviously, Lifestealer can lifesteal from people, but it's a second skill, of course, but it's based on how much HP they currently have. It does damage based on how much HP they have, and it also lifesteals for that amount. So every time I hit somebody, they lose 4% of their current HP, and I gain that in lifesteal. So for that reason, you don't really want to buy any extra lifesteal items when you're playing Lifestealer. It's better if you just go one level of Feast and you leave it at that. You max out your Feast and you leave it at that. Now, Oracle's charging this up on me. I could dodge this with Rage. That's one of the cool things about the hero. So you do have a BKB very early. But the cool thing about Rage is that you can use it very, very, very early. I was hoping here that the creeps would, like, separate us. I played that really badly, obviously. What I should have done is I should have backed into the trees a little earlier. That way, if the Centaur wanted to dive under the tower, he would have had to walk around the trees, or kill the trees using a tango, or wait for his creeps to move. If I blocked myself in, like, here, I'll show you. If I blocked myself in here, and all the creeps were here, then the creeps would have blocked me in, and I could have just sat there hitting the creeps. The Centaur would have been here, he couldn't have hit me, Oracle could have hit me. And what I needed to do is wait out until all the creeps were dead before I would have been safe coming out. So that was a pretty big mistake for me. This is the first Lifestealer game that I played in probably 6 months or something like that, so I didn't play this very well. So don't think that I played this perfectly by any means. His skill build's a bit it's a bit weird. A lot of Lifestealers I saw in the pro scene would get a couple extra levels of open wounds in the early laning stage because it would give them a bigger range for catching people. The extra lifesteal it gives you is very irrelevant. There we go, a little bit of... Cancel one of my attacks there, pretty big mistake. I just need one more attack. Fate's Edict. That was nicely played, but unfortunately they made a big mistake there. That was pretty funny. So first of all, he punched the Centaur into me. The stun hit me, which kind of sucked, but it was okay. I canceled one of my animations after I raged. I should have got an extra attack off on the Centaur, and then he got away with one hit. And right before I got it, the Oracle used Fate's Edict on me, which prevents me from attacking, but makes me immune to magic damage. Or at least it gives me 100% magic resistance. So when the Centaur used Double Edge on me, it did 0 damage because it blocks all magic damage. So it did 0 damage to me, it did damage to him, and then I was able to one-shot him. So that was pretty funny that I got that kill. That was because Centaur didn't understand the mechanics very well of Oracle. So that was a big mistake from him. So yeah, Lifestealer basically is not a good hero in the meta. People will get more levels of open wounds in most cases, and then they will eventually max out Rage. I've seen a lot of Lifestealers go jungling, and I don't recommend this. The only time it is good to go jungling is if your lane is heavily contested like this one is. If you look at how my lane has gone, I've died twice now. I've only got 9 last hits, and it's been 6 minutes in. I do have a high level, and that's kind of cool, but that's about it. And again, I could dodge that spell if I wanted to by using Rage, but it's a very long cooldown at 19 seconds, so you don't want to use this unless you know for sure that it's going to pay off. That's the biggest thing that takes a little bit of practice when you're playing Lifestealer, is properly utilizing your cooldown on Rage. You don't want to use it at a bad time. You have to save it for the part where your opponents are going to want to disable you. So, excuse me, during this time period, I've basically been sitting in my lane, getting experience, but what I probably should have done is shifted the jungle a little bit earlier. And a lot of players at low level will jungle Lifestealer, and you can do this, but I think it's bad. It's like Lifestealer is a little weak right now, but at least if you have a trilane advantage over your opponents, like let's say I am Lifestealer plus 2 supports versus Soul offlane, then Lifestealer is a decent hero. If your lane is contested, there's probably better carries, I feel. He's okay in a contested trilane, but he's just not amazing at it, is the problem. So you can jungle to catch up. Again, you can HP regen / lifesteal from the neutral creeps that you're hitting, and it also makes you jungle faster. But your attack speed's quite low, and the problem when you do jungling Lifestealer is that your hero doesn't really do anything for 5 minutes, and that becomes a bit of a problem. This guy was all about taking the last hits. That was frustrating. I think the Earth Spirit should have been pulling a little bit more here, but I'm not completely sure. I'd have to watch the lanes again. Basically, it's just crap lanes no matter what. But he could have pulled like a minute or 2 earlier, and it would have probably given us a very slight level advantage that we might have been able to use against the Oracle. It's possible. I queued up getting a Midas here. I'm not really sure if it was a good idea or not. It's pretty darn late, but When you play on ranked games, I find that you can kind of get away with just farming a stupid amount of time, and eventually you will win the game. Farming is kind of the basis of the meta right now. I was able to dodge the Scream of Pain. That was good, but popped out as well. I maybe should have sit there. I think it would have been better if I waited. They were able to get the Oracle at least. That was good. They got Centaur as well. That was okay. I don't feel too bad about dying there. But yeah, going to the jungle at some point is fine. Like I said, it's bad to jungle because it takes really long for you to be useful. That was kind of nice. I got some extra gold from that. So it's decent to jungle if there's nowhere else to farm, but if you could farm a lane instead, it's much better. And if you do want to play jungle Lifestealer, there's much better heroes you can get. I think Axe is a much better example of a hero that comes online earlier, that can jungle faster, and can gank way, way better than a Lifestealer can. Slows don't do anything against Quap. You'll find that out a couple times this game. And I was able to open wounds the Quap there, but obviously he did already blink. So I didn't really feel comfortable killing the small camp, so I went straight for the large camp instead. Well, did they smoke here? I swear I just saw a smoke animation. What have we here? I feel like I got smoked on and then I dodged it. This is something that you can do to jungle a little bit safer to get some more HP back. It's called choke point jungling. I didn't do it right here because then I got blocked in, which was kind of a negative. This is a little dangerous because if anybody walked by and found the Centaur, they're going to know that I was in here. Or the Ursa. But, you know, I eventually did kill the creeps and my HP is a bit low, but it wasn't that bad. And, yeah, you can use your ultimate to infest these as well. Jump on in, you can pop out, and you'll heal for the amount that you pop out for. So I'm just going to wait for this to respawn. I should be able to hop back in. I should be able to hop in and blow it up. Do I get gold for this? I took control of these, and I felt like dicking around with it. Because at this point, I was kind of tilted. I was like, man, my lanes suck. This isn't going to make a good video. I didn't get that many last hits. I'm under-leveled. So I was like, all right, this is one of the new things that you can do now. You can take control of the creep that you infest. And if you do that, you can move it around at the movement speed of your hero. And then you can use their ability. So it's kind of like playing Chen. So I was like, I'm going to get in the Centaur, I'm going to go stun somebody, and I'm going to make a play, and it's going to be really cool. Delayed the Quap ulti by a little bit here. And I'm just going to continue to attack these creeps and the heroes. At some point, though, I was going to pop out. That was a nice ulti from Oracle here. Our chances of killing Oracle are actually very low. So I didn't feel too bad at that. He does have blink mana here. I knew he was going to blink, so. And now I kind of just wasted a stupid amount of time. I could have had my Midas farm by now if I just sat in the jungle instead. So that was kind of dumb. I don't know if you get the gold by popping out or not. If you don't take control of it, you definitely do get the gold. But the way that I did that was maybe a bit of a mistake. That was a huge bash right there. So for now, I'm just going to go to the jungle. It's better if you kill the weak creeps first before you kill the big ones, in my opinion, because you get the biggest heals from the large creeps, and usually your HP is missing the most when you kill you want to get the regen from the big ones. At least that's what I do. Maybe my math's wrong. I'm not completely sure, but I usually kill the small ones first, and then I move on to the big ones afterwards. Triple kill. Spirit Breaker did a really nice job. So I think this is pretty much the standard skill build on Lifestealers. You should go this usually. Max out Rage very fast because the extra immune duration is big and the extra attack speed is really big. Don't go for like a 1-4 build where Feast is maxed out. The scaling on Feast is genuinely terrible. It goes 4 to 5 to 6 to 7. It's a great 1-point skill, but after that, it doesn't become very useful. It doesn't even double in effectiveness between the first level and the 4th level. And the other important thing is that it's a percentage-based damage and lifesteal. It doesn't get good until your opponents get a lot of HP. So that means that if you max it out early, it does do a bigger percentage of their total HP, but it's not so much that it becomes really worth it. I decided to take control of the Centaur again because I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to grab the Centaur. Now let's see if we get gold from this. I wanted to grab the bounty rune, and I think I just ended up popping out. I did not actually. So if you do take control of the Centaur, you don't get the experience, you don't get the gold. And that was a pretty big mistake that I didn't do that, because that would have been an extra 150 gold for the 2 Centaurs that I didn't pop out of. So like I said, this is the first time I had done this before, so I was just kind of figuring it out. And that wasn't the right thing to do. So don't pop out, don't take control of the creeps unless you genuinely need to. You can take control of their creeps as well. Like for example on the bot lane where they jumped on me and I infested right before I died. I could have taken control of that creep and tried to run around for a while and then popped out. When you do take control of the creep, they can attack it, even if it's their own creep, so you have to be a little worried about that, but Midas finally finished. My GPM I'm sure is terrible right now. Let's just see where we are in the net worth. We're pretty low. I'm almost the same as my Storm, which is pretty pathetic considering he was mid. At this point, you can either max out Feast next or Open Wounds, depending on what you want. The nice thing about maxing out Open Wounds is that the cooldown goes down pretty low, down to 12 seconds. And this is going to make a huge difference in terms of your team fight capabilities because you do need to slow your opponents a lot. You don't really have any other disable other than just right-clicking, them being dead or Open Wounds. That's basically your options, or comboing with a teammate. Now, one of the reasons I picked Lifestealer this game is because we had a Storm Spirit, and that combo is really good, because you can infest your allies as well, and when you pop out of the infest, it does damage. It does 150 at level 1, and a big AoE. It's a huge AoE. 700, that's a massive. That's like the whole screen, basically, in AoE. Does 150, 275, and then 400 damage. You could actually just not level this up at level 11 if you wanted to delay this a little bit, but I think it's worth it because the damage increase is pretty big. It's actually a very strong nuke when you think about it. So jump in a Storm Spirit, he balls on top of somebody, you pop out from Infest, you Open Wounds, you right-click the guy, and hopefully he dies. It's pretty much your goal as a Lifestealer in the mid-game. But I focused a lot on farming this game, and I did some ganking like I did earlier with the Centaur, but it really didn't accomplish a whole lot, so I think that was a mistake. Now, I am starting to finally buy Quelling Blade a lot more. This was really confusing. He completely did this gank wrong. What he should have done was I should have infested on the Storm Spirit. He should have balled in. Found an ogre over here. That was a little bit weird. So I should have infested the Storm. We should have balled in on the Centaur. I can infest out Open Wounds, and as soon as he casts Stampede, that's when the Storm pulls. And if we do that, then we might be able to kill the Centaur. That's pretty much the only way, in my opinion, that we were going to get him. So that would have been better, I think. But I bought Quelling Blade. I am starting to buy Quelling Blade more. It helps my farming so much, because my farming patterns are decent, but my farming speed always felt a little bit low, and it's basically the Quelling Blade, because you use it for 40 minutes or something like that. It's a huge damage increase just for 225 gold, and you can go from camp to camp a little bit faster. Buy Quelling Blades on your carries. Don't be ignorant like me. I bought them. I didn't buy it for so long, and it really does delay. I also played the Terrorblade game I played before this, so I got a Quelling Blade, and I farmed really, really fast because of it. You don't need to abuse things like Midases or Maelstroms or stuff like that. Quelling Blade and a normal item build is very, very good for increasing your farming speed. It helps a lot. So continuing to Midas to abuse levels, getting more levels as this hero is very good. It's not absolutely needed, but it's very helpful. I was sending an email during this, which is why my camera is weird, but Quelling Blade's a big deal. Midas is really good on Lifestealer, though. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a core item. Depending on how your games go, it's maybe a mistake to get it. If you have free farm in your lane, getting something like a phase with a drum is very, very strong. That was the build that made Nyx popular for a while. You get phase with the drum, and then you get an armlet, and then your hero's really fast, he attacks really fast, he can chase people decently. And then sometimes you get a Sange and Yasha afterwards. Those are usually the main early items to get. But this game was a bit different for me because of the heroes I had to deal with. I have to deal with a Quap who can blink. I have to deal with an Oracle who's going to make somebody invisible. I have to deal with a Centaur who can run max movement speed, so slows are pretty crappy. And I have to deal with a PL who can basically just doppelganger every time that I go on him. And then I don't know which one's the real one. And again, I stole a Centaur. I was like, hell yeah, let's go ganking again. Because I was all about ganking this game. And none of them did shit. I wanted to fight here, and I felt like this felt pretty good to me. I didn't necessarily want to pop at the Centaur yet, so what I did instead was I went to jungle. Unfortunately, my right click is terrible on the Centaur compared to what I would have been with the Quelling Blade. This is kind of a big waste of time, and my Midas is just sitting there unused. But what I wanted to happen is I wanted them to overextend on the tower. I wanted to walk in, land a Centaur stun, and then pop out with my hero and hopefully do a decent amount of damage. So I saw the boulder go down, it completely whiffed, and then I realized that it was probably a waste for me to even be here. Can chase his Quap a little bit, I guess. He dodged the stun. Nothing happens. I waste 2 minutes of my life running around in a creature. Lifestealer, man, he's just a creepy dude. Although, this looked pretty good. I don't know if I had my stun here or not. I popped out. He hits me with his dudes. Can Midas a creep, we're all good. And level 11 is up. That was a little bit weird too. I've got 2 levels in Feast now. My open wounds is 400 range. It's got a cooldown of 12, which is pretty good, and I lifesteal 25% of the damage. One really cool thing about open wounds, actually, it's not just based on physical damage, it's actually based on all damage. So if anybody does damage to somebody that's open wounded, they lifesteal the amount of damage that they do. So if you Laguna Blade somebody that's open wounds, you can lifesteal from it. It's pretty cool. It's one of the very, very few instances of that where you can lifesteal based on spells and abilities and stuff like that, so that's pretty cool. I really don't have to worry about these PL illusions right now, and that's because illusions can be damage blocked. It's a physical source like that, so damage block when the illusions do less than 20 damage is great. It blocks almost all the damage, and by him I saw I was getting ganked, and now you use Lifestealer's OP Rage into TP, which is something you should be abusing when you're playing Juggernaut as well. Carry a TP. When you think you're going to get ganked or you see the gank coming, you press Rage and you teleport home. And unless they have the physical damage to burst you down, you're safe. Now, Lifestealer is a little vulnerable to that because his armor is so low. I've only got 4 armor and my agility gain is quite low at 1.9. It's pretty bad. His int gain's almost as bad, or as a little bit worse, 1.75, but that's okay because the hero was decent on mana. Drum obviously makes things a bit easier, but the hero came to get away with not having a drum if needed. That Midas does help though, because rather than having a drum, I'm getting levels a bit faster, and because of those levels, I'm getting an extra 1.7 int every time I level up. So the extra levels help out. I want my skills to be maxed eventually. It gives me more damage, helps me farm faster. Eventually the Midas will pay off, and despite me getting it very, very early, considering the game ended up being very passive, it was great for me to get the Midas this game. I wouldn't recommend it every Lifestealer game you play, but if you go free farm, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, honestly. As a strength carry, you usually will need items to come to you a little bit faster than normal. You can kind of, like most strength carries, they have DPS issues. They don't hit as hard as they maybe need to compared to most carries. But Lifestealer kind of gets around that because he has Feast as well. It's like an extra carry ability. Not only do you damage for your right clicks and stuff like that, we're also doing a bunch of damage if they're full HP. Like, I hit that Satyr there, it had 240 HP or something. I did an extra 15 damage to him. That was kind of cool. It's really useful. So, now again, because the heroes that I'm playing against, I'm going to go a slightly different item build. In this game I said I have to get away to deal with the Phantom Lancer, and your options are either Battle Fury or Maelstrom. Those are your options. You have to get one of those two, because that's the only way to do cleave damage as a melee hero. Unless you actually pick a hero that naturally has cleave or something, or you get a Magnus on your team. And that's one way that Lifestealer used to be played, actually. When Magnus was really popular, you would do Magnus with Lifestealer. Lifestealer would get Enrage. He would do cleave damage in an AoE, and that was really strong. But it doesn't. You never see Lifestealer picked anymore. There's just a lot better cleave heroes you can do. You can do it with Juggernaut, you can do it with Troll Warlord, and those heroes do way more DPS because they have natural crits and stuff like that. And their stat gains are so much better than Lifestealer's. And their base armor is way better than Lifestealer's. There's just like 4 different ways that Lifestealer is a weak hero. Again, Juggernaut doesn't have a disable, but with Mask of Madness you can attack really fast. Now, I did see a Reddit post saying that Lifestealer with Mask of Madness was the thing, and that was the way to play the hero. I think that's a decent idea if you're against heroes that can't get you through Rage. But if you're against a physical carry like Troll, I think that's just making the situation a little bit worse for you. You don't really want to increase the amount of physical damage you take when your armor is really low, and that's one of the downsides of Lifestealer compared to a hero like Juggernaut or Troll. Those heroes have pretty good agility gains, so their natural armor is really high, so even though they're taking bonus physical damage, it's not making them completely crutched, for example. And there are some points in this game where I actually do have some trouble with physical damage, and it's something that I have to build within mind. Or keep in mind while I'm choosing what item builds that I have. So I grabbed a Maelstrom, I have a Midas, I attack decently fast. It's not great, it's okay. I can jungle very rapidly now that I have Quelling Blade and I have Maelstrom. It's all pretty good. I TP'd here to maybe help out, but really didn't need me at all. That guy dies, blah blah blah. And I find a TP scroll. It was Spirit Breakers, so that's kind of cool. My juggling damage or my farming damage is actually pretty good here, and I can also push, which is important. So even if I'm not showing up to fights, I can still create pressure on the map by pushing out lanes. And to be honest, I really haven't done anything other than farm this game, but look at my net worth now. I'm actually second from the highest. Because I have Midas, because I grabbed a Maelstrom, it's all farming very rapidly. And I did something stupid here, but it worked out in the end. I got Boots of Travel really, really early. So if we think about what Boots of Travel does for me, it gives me 50 extra movement speed, and also means I don't have to pay for TPs for the rest of the game. Sounds like they used their Oracle ulti a little bit early here. I should have cut this tree here. I kept walking around these tree clumps, but I should be calling through every time. I saw Quap coming, so said, alright, I'm not going to be there anymore, and I'm going to TP to the bot lane. So normally you grab either Treads or Phase. This personal preference. I think the Phase is a little bit more popular here. I knew which one was the real one, so I decided to attack him. Doesn't look like the slow state on him though. At this point it's pretty obvious which one the real one was. And he got charged by Spirit Breaker. This is really cool. Watch this. Open wounds. He removes the open wounds immediately. And the cool part was that the Spirit Breaker charge stayed on him. So I knew which one was the real one the whole time because the Spirit Breaker did the initial charge on the right person. That was really cool. So I got experience out of that. That was gold. Did they get the kill, or is that a... I think that was an assist. Yeah, Spirit Breaker got the kill. I'm fine with that. So the cool things that BOTs gives you, I can now TP to lanes. Creep waves, for example, I can evade ganks at top, but immediately start farming on the bot lane. And getting from camp to camp is really rapid. Now you could do pretty much the same thing with Phase Boots, but the difference is that Phase Boots gives you 24 damage, and it costs a lot less. Like, it's basically just it's just dumb to grab a Boots of Travel this early, because it actually limits my gold gain. I could have spent that money on getting the fastest Mjollner known to man, for example. Or I could have bought almost a full armlet with that same gold cost. Do you really think that an armlet... Do you really think that Boots of Travel is better than armlet at this stage? It's really not. I would do so much more damage if I got an armlet instead of a Boots of Travel. Obviously my movement speed would be way worse, but that's not that bad. Like, I would rather sacrifice 50 movement speed, excuse me, and get an armlet at this point than go straight for the BOTs. But since I didn't have the boots upgrade just yet, I didn't want to upgrade to them because I was like, I've already got all this money, I've been farming decently well, I've been on brown boots this whole time. It'd be stupid to get treads now because at some point I'm going to be maxed out on items anyways. And again, the amount that you save by buying TP scrolls is decent. I have TP'd like, what, twice now or something? That's like 200 gold if you think about it. Not to mention that when I got ganked up here, I TP'd straight to the creep wave when our tower was gone, so I got a little bit of efficiency out of that. So there are ways that you get value out of Boots of Travel, but in a straight up fight, Boots of Travel makes you far weaker than a typical Boots upgrade does. Either treads or phase makes a huge difference. Now, doing ancients is actually something Lifestealer can do extremely well of. You should always kill the small ones again, because killing the big ones first means that you don't have a huge amount of lifesteal source. Like, look how much I'm lifestealing right now. 190, 84, 70, 60. I'm getting a huge amount of HP and lifesteal every time I hit one of those big creeps. So jungling on ancients is really easy for Lifestealer. It's kind of like playing Ursa. Killing the ancients is very, very simple. Now doing these ones out order is maybe a mistake because the creeps have 15% more HP due to the big aura one, but things are going to be fine here, and I've just, again, continued hitting creeps. I bought my armlet, and I'm flying it up. Now the reason armlet's so important is because you need to have some source of armor on Lifestealer. Again, his armor is terrible. He has 5 armor. He's got terrible agility gain. That means if you do not buy armor items on this hero, and you do not buy agility items, you're gonna die really fast to physical damage if they have anything that does that. I used my rage here, and this is a bit of a mistake. I didn't get very many extra hits off on the Quap, and we're still chasing her, but then the enemy team showed up. Should have Midas before I died too. The mistake that I made there is I used Rage to try to DPS the Quap. The silence on the Earth Spirit ran out very rapidly, the Quap got away, and then all of a sudden my 19-second cooldown ability that keeps me protected is gone, and most importantly increases my damage. It's 80 attack speed when you use it. So by using it that early and Quap getting away, I completely botched the team fight. Despite me having a really high farm and my KDA being terrible, I still have the highest net worth. Again, this is mostly because the players I'm playing against aren't very good at farming. It's not because I'm out farming them or I'm playing fantastic. It's basically because the opponents I'm playing against aren't that good at farming. But even with that said, can't mess up rages like that. It's really important. Gotta not play stupid, which makes way more sense. The PL actually farmed terribly this game. I think He did get aggressively dual laned or whatever. He's a 1-6 and 6. He's actually died a lot here, and this is one of the reasons that I was able to do okay this game, is because the one hero that could really counter me, which is the PL, had a bit of a tough game. So one of the good things about Lifestealer though is, again, Rage. There was a period of time where PL was picked as a carry and Lifestealer was picked as a carry, and Lifestealer was okay against that. He would have to again grab a Battle Fury or a Mjollner. So if PL gets a Diffusal Blade, he does drain your mana unless you're magic immune. So if you're magic immune, you can actually DPS right through that. It's not that bad. I really wanted somebody to come to the top lane because I felt like I could have killed him here. My team was not very set up usually for ganks and stuff. I kept my Stout Shield pretty late. That's one of the cool things about having BOTs. I have a Stout and a Quelling, and it's 28 minutes in, and my farm's good. It was really nice to have all that extra space for an item that, two little items that actually make a big difference in terms of your overall well-being in the early game. Again, the Stout Shield does a lot to protect me against the PL's physical damage, and the Quelling Blade helps me move through the jungle faster and also kill neutrals really rapidly. So I like to farm really aggressive when I play carries, in pub games especially. I told Storm that I wanted to gank now, so I'm going to pop on in. I'm level 16 as well, so this is going to do 400 magic damage. It's like a Dagon. It's literally a Dagon, an AoE Dagon. And I maybe should have communicated a bit more. There was a lot of, pretty much every time that I got inside the Storm Spirit, we didn't really organize well and we wasted time. And that means that Storm got gold, I got experience, Storm got experience. But we spent a lot of time not getting kills. So a lot of the times I would get in Storm, it wasn't really a good timer. It was basically when I'd remember and be like, oh yeah, Storm's here, I should get inside of him and we can go gank. And it would like, it was always the wrong time in almost all cases. But what we should be doing is blowing up anybody. I'm pretty sure that we can kill just about anybody here. Since we have an Orchid, we have my open wounds, and I have an Armlet and a Maelstrom. I can kill PL, I can clear his illusions fairly rapidly if I get lightning procs. And finally a fight was happening, so I was watching the Storm. He is going to TP, which is great. And I wanted him to go in here, but there are all of the enemy heroes, and Oracle can definitely save them. So one mistake I made is I didn't turn my Armlet on before I got inside the Storm Spirit. The reason this is a problem is because when I do engage the battle, my first hit won't be full Armlet damage, so I'll have slightly lower DPS as we go in to start the fight, which is a mistake. So I'm watching the Storm, I want to watch him initiate. I'm like, alright, we're going to go on the Quap, we're going to kill Quap. I'm like, he's going to go in. And he silences the Centaur instead. I got blocked by the pigs so much there. That was actually Storm blocking us. So the Centaur ends up surviving. We didn't get an Orchid off in the Quap for some reason. Storm went in like 4 seconds too late. Spirit Breaker got really mad at this point, but that's completely fair because Storm just sitting there watching the fight about to happen. And he doesn't go in. So we didn't get the kill on the Quap. All we had to do is ball in, Orchid the Quap, pull the Centaur, double kill, boom. Most likely. Maybe a double kill. Maybe only 1 kill. Maybe the Centaur would have lived anyways, but... Actually, I think it would have gone okay because the Hex was probably on Quap. It was on Quap. So if the Hex didn't happen on Storm Spirit, we probably could have killed the Storm, or the Centaur there. So that was pretty obnoxious. At this point, Spirit Breaker kind of lost all feelings of us going to win this game. But it was definitely not yet. Definitely not over yet, excuse me. And here's the counter to Lifestealer. It is the Blink Dagger. I used to rage here because I really wanted to do right click damage. That worked out nice. I used my ultimate as well to do a big chunk of AoE damage because I wanted to clear the PL illusions. Obviously I can rely on my Maelstrom to do that, but it's not as reliable. So that was a good fight. I just wailed on the Centaur. I was like, I don't know how much damage it's going to take to hit him, so I'm just going to hit him. And this got me to the point where I was like, you know what? Lifestealer is actually an okay Oracle counter. Think about it this way. Feast does damage based on your opponent's current HP. So if their HP doesn't move and their HP is very high, that means every time you hit them, Feast does a lot. It's basically like changing Feast to doing a percentage of their total max HP, then doing a total of their current HP. The way Feast works is it does a lot of damage as you're first hitting them, but as they get lower and lower, it does less and less and less damage. So it's a bit of an ability that doesn't have huge carry potential. It's a good anti-tank carry ability, and it has some anti-carry capabilities and anti-tank capabilities, but it peaks off. But if his HP doesn't move, if he just sat on 1500 HP, every time I hit that guy, I drain 7% of his current HP and I lifesteal it. That's why I wasn't even getting touched when I was getting return damage that whole time, because I was lifestealing him for like, What's 10% of 1400? 140. So I was getting like, I was doing 100 extra physical damage every single time I hit that centaur, which is probably why I killed him. I don't think I would have killed him otherwise. And I blew him up. So 100 extra physical damage every single time that I hit him because his HP didn't move based on the Oracle. It's a cool interaction that I realized as I was playing. So the reason that I got Mjollner so early this game is because I needed a way to guarantee deal with the PL illusions, and the best way is to use the Mjollner debuff or the Mjollner ability on your hero or one of our allies when the fight ends up starting. I wasn't the best at using it correctly, but it's a great item on strength heroes that are looking to carry, and since I do have Armlet, I'm getting about 60 damage from Armlet. I have a ton of attack speed from Midas, now I have a ton of attack speed from Mjollner. Mjollner giving 24 damage every time I do a chain jump. It does 150 magic damage, and the static AoE is 20% at 200 damage, which is really big. Usually hits a lot of people in a fight. I had to be a little careful here because I was worried about getting blink sheeped. I have to watch out for the centaur following up. But again, the farm is going well. My net worth is really high. Our opponents are not farming well. The PL is still trying to catch up here, but it seems like he didn't really have very good farming patterns or something. He got a drum first, which I think was a mistake. I feel like if a PL wants to buy some kind of a stat item, really, they should focus on getting maybe an Aquila instead. Getting the drum is pretty expensive. It's like half of what the diffusal blade is. You could get to your diffusal blade a lot faster if you didn't spend money on that. So yeah, Mjollner for the PL counter. My armor is okay because I got an armlet. If I didn't get an armlet, I would be in a really bad spot. So again, when you're playing Lifestealer, make sure you do buy armor. The same principle actually applies really heavily to Wraith King, actually. That hero doesn't have very good agility gain. His armor is pretty bad. I was hoping to hop into the storm here because we did that vision. I turned my armlet on this time, so as you can see, my damage is full. You do not get drained while you're inside somebody. Yeah, in fact, you actually get regen. So we saw all the heroes. It quite seemed like they could see us, and the centaur to jump away. Just waiting for him to go in. Didn't use my rage until now, which is good. I did end up dying to the PL after all. The mistake I made there was that I didn't use my Mjollner debuff, or my Mjollner buff. Slider went back in and ended up dying. But I should have used my Mjollner buff on myself. I wasn't really expecting, I was never really taking damage there, but at some point I probably took damage from towers, and I could have reflected it. The main place that I took damage was under their tier 3, though, when I wanted to kill the Oracle. It was still a pretty good fight for us, I think, but it should have been a little careful, and I should have used my Mjollner. There's no reason not to use it. It costs like 50 mana to cast it. It's 50 mana, it's a 35-second cooldown, it lasts for like, what, 15 seconds? It reflects so much damage. That's like the strongest thing about Mjollner by far. The attack speed is obviously pretty good as well, but... So, as I respawn, I can immediately TP to lane. Not buying TPs. I grabbed a dust here, still my Quelling Blade. I think it's time to carry a dust. So a lot of cores are really greedy about that. They don't carry dusts for heroes. They just say, oh, it's a support thing, and that's a really ignorant way to do it. And it's also like completely reliant on your allies, especially in pub games. The way that people should be playing is, if you're playing any kind of a ganking core, it's good to just carry the dust because it might end up being useful, and you might end up getting a kill because of it. So again, using Midas, pushing the wave, blah blah blah, moving into the jungle. I have a dust in case I find somebody, and if I turn my armlet on, my HP is decent. It's like 2k, sorry. Next item I'm buying is a Basher. Basher is a very, very standard Lifestealer item. You need it because it helps you lock people down. It's a very low disable. It's only like 1.6 seconds, but after you get the Basher, you get the good item, which is Abyssal Blade. And Abyssal Blade fills in one of the gaps that you're usually missing when you play Lifestealer, and that's a plus damage item. If you buy Armlet, you have a plus damage item, but things like Sanjin Yasha, Juram, Phase Boots, they're all moderate damage items, but nothing huge. You're getting a mix of like stats and attack speed and movement speed in most cases. Once you get Abyssal Blade, you got plus 100 damage, you got plus 10 strength, which is 110 damage for a strength hero. And then you have a guaranteed lockdown. So that's all pretty good stuff. Found a Centaur here, he stunned me. I could have raged here and TP'd, but I didn't necessarily need to run right away. At this point I did. Once the PL shifts over, Here's the case that I was talking about. I actually took quite a bit of damage there from the PL, and that's without the mana burn. If I would have gotten mana burn there, I probably would have died very rapidly. So at this point, I was feeling a little scared about my armor, and I was thinking maybe I should get an AC next. But to be honest, if you're this close to getting Abyssal Blade, and if you're playing a hero like Lifestealer who has very weak disable, you need Abyssal Blade. You like absolutely need Abyssal Blade. So skipping that to go for AC, I think, is a big mistake. I definitely wanted to make AC after the Abyssal Blade, but you have to get the item first. Now at this point, when I'm way over level 16, I feel like extra stat levels coming from extra levels are fine, but not amazing. And gold is a little more important at this point. So once you hit 16, the levels are not as strong as they were previously, you could argue. So it's sometimes better to go for Midasing the small creeps over the big creeps. That way every camp gives you a lot. In the early game, you definitely want to Midas the big creeps because it power levels your experience. And then you don't have to spend the time killing the large creeps because your damage is usually low at that point. Again, killing Ancients, very, very rapid. More levels, more experience, all that good stuff. And decided to hop inside the Storm Spirit. Or, no I didn't. Yes we did. See, I thought he was going to go on this. I thought this made perfect sense. Okay, this is like... This is the most inefficient... See, I used my dust here. Use my rage here, that's a little scary. Luckily he did still end up dying. Oh, I messed up really bad here. I wanted to get a double kill. Oh, this is such a mistake. I wanted to get a double kill. So what I did was... I wanted to get a double kill, so I went to go try to slow the Oracle. I didn't know that the Ogre had a Blink Dagger, but I should have checked. And then I ran away from the Ogre, and then when I came back, he ended up getting a Blink off. The Spearbreaker charge, I don't know if it did damage. I think it just stunned, so he didn't get a damage point there. So he was very able to escape. So that was a huge mistake for me. We should have killed the Ogre. That would have kept the Spearbreaker alive, maybe. At least he wouldn't have been solo when he chased, like... Because me and the other hero, me and the Earth Spirit, ended up chasing after the Ogre. So if we would have killed the Ogre, we would have killed the Ogre. The Earth Spirit wouldn't have died, and the Spirit Breaker might have backed off as well. That was just a really costly mistake from a team fight mistake from me. I was too greedy. I wanted the double kill, and I should have just gone for the single. But my dust did pay off. The 90 gold there helped us kill the PL. If we didn't kill the PL right at the start of the fight, things would have gone bad. But again, I just raged, turn on my armlet, right-click the heck out of the PL, even if his Oracle ulti's on, and in most cases they won't be able to heal through that. There's really not a whole lot they can do. What the Oracle can do is cast Fate's Edict on me once rage is gone. That's a really good solution, because then I can't attack for 6 seconds, it disarms me. But the PL keeps dying, and that's going to really hurt their chances to win. I was dead for a really long time here because my level was so high. If we look at the levels, I'm 21, next closest is Cloth at 21, and PL is also 21, but CS is 218, and my GPM is, I'm sure, the highest. Since my net worth is the highest. It's decently up there, 475. Tried to TP to a creep here, but it died to return. That was unfortunate. But luckily the Spirit Breaker was charging in as well, so it was okay. It's like 500 gold now that the Boots of Travel saved me. At this point, it's becoming very cost efficient. It's like a fast movement speed boot for 1500 gold rather than getting like a Treads or a Phase Boots or something. So yeah, I kill creeps really fast. Pretty nice. Did not get experience for that one. But with Quap dead and Centaur also dead, we should be able to push. It's really not safe to farm on our side of the map if we have a storm. That was really greedy by the Quap. In fact, Quap really doesn't have very much. I think she just had sheep and a Scotty, I believe. The reason I'm so fast right now, by the way, is because of the Spirit Breaker aura. That's maybe one reason you could also argue that I didn't need to get Drum. I didn't think about it at the time, but you could say, like, if you have a Spirit Breaker, buying all these extra move speed items are maybe a mistake. Again, Mjollner to do AoE damage. That was a big stun the Slar got on there. Basher, yes, Basher. Basher paid off. Heal buyback. Rage just in time there. pop out for a little bit of damage. It's obvious which one it was. Losing a lot of my mana here. Don't be afraid to fight. I could have raged there and actually killed him. And he kept going in and out. Eventually got him. Just a little bit of armlet toggling. Lifestealer was like the original armlet toggle hero too. Obviously you could armlet toggle on tons of other heroes, but Lifestealer was the most obnoxious one because his ability to lifesteal after he armlet toggled was very, very easy. I got like 1500 gold out of that fight. It was pretty crazy. Was that because we were behind? Let's see if we had comeback mechanics. We're actually already in the lead, so we didn't get that much gold from that compared to where we could have. But look at this gold graph. It is fully erect, that's for sure. That is like an astounding advantage just from team fights. But yeah, armlet toggling was pretty obnoxious, old Lifestealer, because he was very hard to kill. A lot of supports, your disables would be wasted because you would rage through them. That's the important part of our rage. You have to save into the last second, wait till your opponents are going in, then pop rage. Make them waste one of their extra disables. Like if you're against Avenge and you're chasing him down as Lifestealer, wait till he throws his magic missile, then you press rage while it's midair. It's really good. Lifestealer is also very good at Roche because you can use open wounds, and the damage you do to Roshan then gains you life. So I'm getting about 60 HP per hit. Feast does not work on Roche, should be way too good. And we're able to take him down pretty fast here. Drop my dust. Gave it to somebody else. And I think at this point I went back to base because my mana was really low. You can't really continue to fight when you're lifestealing and your mana's low. And I also have a lot of items that need mana to work. Like Mjollner needs mana to work. I need to open wounds and I need to rage. That's about 200 mana. If I ulti on top of that, that's 250. If I use the Mjollner, that's 300. If I use the Abyssal, that's 450. I need 450 mana to use all my stuff once. And more likely I'm going to be using them multiple times during the team fight. So it's really important that I have mana here. And that's one of the other cool things that Boots of Travel gave me this game. So at this point, Boots of Travel feels good. But I think it was a mistake to get it before Armlet. At the very least, I should have gone Armlet first, I believe. And then I could have gone Boots of Travel. I think that would have been safer. At least if we were fighting. If we're just split pushing and farming, then Boots of Travel is fine. It doesn't matter that much if your DPS is a bit lower. You'll kill camps about the same speed. But in terms of fighting, I was a lot weaker there. So, but it feels good now. Anyways, Armlet's on. Jump in the Storm Spirit. I've got 2500 HP due to the fact that my Armlet is on and I'm a strength hero and I'm leveling up. I'm almost level 25. I mean, your strength gain is pretty good on the hero. It's 2.4. Agility is 1.9. It's a little low, but it's not. It's moderately low. It's not terrible. It's just moderately low, I would say. But your strength gain with the Armlet's good. It gives you an extra 500 HP. You lifesteal so much that the Armlet degen is actually not that bad, especially with open wounds. You're getting two sources of regen. First from Feast, and the second one from open wounds. So Armlet degen is almost inconsequential on Lifestealer. Don't worry about it at all. Just look at it as a damage item that gives you 60 damage and only costs 2500 gold. It's really good. Armlet is like the item to have on Lifestealer. So, continuing to push. We have killed an enemy hero. I was able to Armlet toggle through the damage over time, which is pretty lucky. Doesn't always work, but it worked there. Didn't even have to use the Aegis. The important part was that we locked down the Phantom Lancer. You know, if I didn't have an Abyssal Blade, I would have had to rely on everything my Storm had to kill the PL. But by dropping the Abyssal Blade out of my stun him for an extra 2 seconds, and then I had maybe another bash in there too. So instead of stunning the PL for like 2.5 seconds, we got him for like 5 instead, and that gave us more than enough time to kill him before he was able to use Doppelwalk. So that was really good. Really necessary to lock down PLs to prevent their HP from being more serious. And that's basically just the game ending. You know, at that point, the enemy team, they farmed so poorly that they weren't even close to being able to contest us in the late game. That's why they lost, I think, and they lost a lot of fights as well. Once our farm really started paying off. If the Spirit Breaker didn't get so many kills in the early game as well, there was no way we were winning this game because he kind of kept the team in there for a while. He actually went 26 and 11. He played really well this game. The Spirit Breaker went crazy. If the Spirit Breaker didn't play so well in the early game, we definitely would have lost this game. But luckily I had enough farm to keep us in there as well in the late game. Storm Spirit was a little iffy, but anyways, that's Lifestealer. I don't recommend playing him in the current meta. He's quite weak as a carry. You can still play him if you want to, and if you do, go these items, something like this at least. You don't have to get Mjollner, you don't have to get Maelstrom. Just go like Drums Phase with SNY, or Treads SNY with an Armlet is good, or you can transition that into like some other item. You can just buy a lot of different items on this here because his damage is decent with Feast, so even items that are mostly movement speed are decent. If you're playing against a Juggernaut or a Troll Warlord, I do not recommend Lifestealer. He is not the right carry for you guys. He's okay against Jug, but not amazing. He can chase Jug down and force him to Omnislash, but there's not really any Lifestealer items that you want to buy that protect you against Omnislash, with the exception of maybe like a late game Butterfly or something like that. You don't want to buy Ghost Scepter, you don't want to buy Manta. There's just a lot of weird stuff going on. I guess you could buy a Manta with a Halberd, but it wouldn't be terrible. It's just a little bad, moderately bad. I would say there's better items. So be careful where you pick Lifestealer. He's occasionally useful, but most of the time not. So that's Lifestealer. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.